Our next guest is the very funny Whitney Cummings. She started doing stand-up in 2004 and has since released 6 comedy specials, and she's also the co-creator and co-writer of the Emmy Award-winning sitcom Two Broke Girls, and she starred in the series Whitney based on her life. Cummings recently welcomed her first baby and is about to begin the second year of her big baby tour. He's very cute. There's some shots of him in a little robe. It's very cute.
Oh, my God.
The tour, as you might imagine, focuses on motherhood and everyday life.
I wanted to do that 23andMe thing. No one let me because I think you can't do that. They're going to take your data. They're going to have your email address. Like, okay. I remember when there was a book full of everyone's phone numbers and home addresses, and they would just throw it at your house.
That's so
true.
Whitney, so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So year 2, the big baby tour, being a new mom, reality's parenting, lots of material there. But tell me about your favorite part of being a parent.
My favorite part so far has definitely been getting pregnant at 40 and being told it was a geriatric pregnancy.
Oh,
Yes,
just a
I
medical
know.
term.
They start calling it geriatric at 35. I had a 75-year-old man, Smithers, told me that I was geriatric.
Was that the doctor?
Okay, yes, Dr. Smithers, we call him now. Can we reward women maybe having kids later in life when they're sane and have their lives together? Like, I'm very grateful that I did this at 40 years old. I always, like, if I had a kid even a year sooner, I would have sold it for Taylor Swift tickets.
Well, fewer people, we were talking
But you
earlier.
probably point out, though, that you had the baby naturally at 40.
I had the baby naturally at 40 years old.
Even though you had frozen your eggs.
I froze my eggs when I was 33 because, obviously, like, as soon as you get your life going as a woman, as soon as you start making money, your body starts kind of, rotting slowly from the inside. And you also have to start, like, making these compromises and settling. And I was finding myself at 33 being like, I guess I'm just going to have to marry this guy who has ferrets and kisses his mom on the mouth still. And all right, I guess my kid's dad is gonna have a tattoo that says breathe. Like, and you start making these compromises. Okay, I live in Los Angeles, I'm like, I guess this guy that wears a rope as a belt and a V-neck is my baby's father? Like, that feels like abuse.
But Whitney, what's nice is that you, as you say, Henry's dad, you guys are not a couple.
Right.
You're not a couple, but you two are co-parenting together.
Yes.
You said you had an intimate relationship, had the baby, but you realized you were
very intimate.
But you realized you were not going to be a couple.
Incredibly intimate.
But you are co-parenting.
Because I found myself going like, okay, I have to do it in this order, right? Like this socially constructed order. I got to find the husband and then have a kid. And I couldn't find the husband. I live in Los Angeles. There are none. And so I found this guy that was just so amazing. We started dating. My mom started passing away. And, when someone dies, there's a death, that's when you really find out someone's character. And he really just showed up in such an incredible way. And I was like, I know I'm not your wife. He's younger. I was like, you deserve someone who's still, like, excited about life and still wants to, like, travel and go places, whatever. And can I go off birth control and let's just, like, see what happens? Because I also was looking into adoption at the time, I adopt and rescue dogs. I was like, I can't have my own kid. Isn't, like, having your own kid like buying a dog from a breeder? Like, I just was all over the place. And this is the way the universe sort of made it happen. And we just thought, you know what, let's not force this. I grew up begging my parents to get divorced. I see so many people who, don't want to leave, obviously, because for the stability of the kid. And I was like, let's just start co-parenting from the beginning. So the kid will never know anything different.
Your comedic style has always been fresh, intelligent, witty, funny, relatable.
Thank you.
But you're very intentional about speaking on things that most people won't. Why you decide to talk about some of the most intimate parts of you?
Because I think that's how we release shame. And for me, I know that I make bad choices under the influence of shame and embarrassment. And for me, a lot of things that I don't talk about, we talk about, like, don't silence women. But then I self-silence. I'm like, I'm the one that's doing it to myself. So, I didn't want to talk about having postpartum depression, for example. And I was like, I don't want to talk about this, which means I have to talk about this. And luckily I have some kind of version of Tourette's where I just have to say the thing. Because I was like, I don't want to talk about having postpartum depression. Isn't this like, suggesting that women are weak, or after we have kids, our brains don't work, or,
That's what's so great about what you do, Whitney. And then you said, having a baby also gave you somebody to think about other than yourself.
look.
You started getting sick of about yourself.
I was like, I've been in all the therapy. I've achieved all my goals. Like, why do I hate myself so much? And I think we all are dealing a little bit with like thinking about ourselves a little too much.
No doubt.
I was sick of myself, you know? So having a kid, don't have a kid just because you're sick of yourself.
Yes.
But once I had a child, I was like, oh, I like myself when I only think about myself like 30 minutes a day. When I think about myself all day, I'm annoying.
It takes you right out of it. And we'll think of you. You don't have to think of you. And your fans will think of you.
Yes,
and they can catch you on tour right now.
Yes.
Whitney Cummings, thank you very much.
And you and Nate on Hollywood Squares got to see you too.
Tickets for the Big Baby
Bravo.
Tour are available right now.